Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nataya and this is Nesthetics, where I talk about topics that I care about and you should care about too if you choose. Today we are talking about the Jezebel stereotype in the music industry among black female artists. So first I want to give a disclaimer and say I am not calling any of these women Jezebels, but simply pointing out the symbolism in their music that perpetuates the Jezebel stereotype. So first we're going to define and talk about the history of the Jezebel stereotype, and then second we're going to identify examples of the Jezebel stereotype in the music industry using music from Meg Thee Stallion, City Girls, and Chloe Bailey. Last, we're going to discuss my opinions on what I think about this symbolism. So let's get into it. So the Jezebel stereotype is one of the three racist and sexist stereotypes that have been used to rationalize slavery and to spur racist, sexist perceptions and treatment of black women. The Jezebel stereotype is a slave construct and stereotype that paints black women as evil and immoral. The Jezebel stereotype is synonymous with promiscuity, having an insatiable sexual appetite, and someone who uses sex to manipulate men. She is a conniving temptress who cannot be trusted. Accusing black women of these traits and calling them Jezebels also attempts to connect black women to the infamous, treacherous queen in the Bible called Jezebel, who is accused of having turned the heart of her husband, King Ahab, away from the worship of the one true God and righteous living. So the idea that black women were naturally and inevitably sexually promiscuous was reinforced by several features of slavery. Slaves, whether they were on the auction block or offered privately for sale, they were often stripped naked and physically examined. So Europeans, they had an infatuation with black women's bodies and saw black women as exotic because of their distinct body types. And then the crime of sexually mistreating black women by white men was common, yet white men were never convicted of these crimes. And in the 20th century, the depiction of black women as Jezebels was common in American material culture. Everyday items such as ashtrays, postcards, sheet music, drinking glasses, things that you can buy to put in your homes were depicting black girls and women naked. In summary, the Jezebel stereotype emerged during slavery, and white people and slave owners basically stripped black women's value to their distinct body parts and sexual organs. White slave owners saw black women as producers of future slaves, and the Jezebel stereotype that was associated with black women was not true at all. It was just something that white people made up, but now it's something that we constantly see in the media today. So now we're going to go into part 2 of this video and talk about the examples of the Jezebel stereotype in the music industry. So first we're going to start off with Meg Thee Stallion. So Meg Thee Stallion is known for her sexually explicit lyrics, strong knees, and twerking. I personally enjoy Megan's music while also having critiques about the explicit nature of her music and the Jezebel stereotype symbolism in her music. So we're going to look at some of the lyrics in her songs to show how her music perpetuates the Jezebel stereotype. But first, let's revisit some of the definitions, or just an overall summary of the definition of the Jezebel stereotype. So it's synonymous with promiscuity, someone who uses sex to manipulate men, and someone who has an insatiable sexual appetite. So Meg Thee Stallion's lyrics align with all of these definitions of the Jezebel stereotype. If you listen to Meg, you know her songs are all about sex. And even if you hear about Meg coming out with a song, you know it's going to be about sex, or it's going to be about twerking, or it's going to be about something along those lines. Like literally all of her songs are about sex. So the first song that we're going to look at is called Captain Hook. And we're going to look at verse 1. So she says, "I'm a hot girl, don't try it at home. I wear the ish that be showing my thong. I like to drink and I like to have sex. I F the ends that's cutting the checks. Dance on, now you've been served. I like it with a little bit of curve. Hit this with an uppercut, call that Captain Hook." So you can see in these lyrics, this shows Megan's appetite for sex. She says that she likes to have sex, which is nothing wrong with that, but it shows how explicit these lyrics are. It shows how much she has this appetite for sex. So now we're gonna go to verse 3 of this song, and she says, "Got it in, but I think I'll have another." So this is an example of someone who is promiscuous, and being promiscuous means that you have multiple sexual partners. So Meg also has this theme in a lot of her music as well. And other songs that show these different themes in Megan's music, we can look at so many different songs and so many different lyrics, but I just chose 2 other songs, Sex Talk and Big Ol' Freak, and we don't even have to look at the lyrics of this song. Just seeing the titles of these songs, we see how this shows how Meg is not necessarily obsessed with sex, but how she likes to talk about it a lot, and that she has an appetite for sex. So, and also with her covers for her discography, I did notice, to me, like her covers kind of resemble the blaxploitation films that actually perpetuated the Jezebel stereotype. So if you think about the Foxy Brown movie, and I don't know what the other movies are called. I think it's one called like Black Hooker or something like that too. But these album covers kind of look like the covers for the movies or the blaxploitation films. But that's just me. I don't know, for some reason that Meg's covers resemble that. But okay, let's pause here for a second, because as I'm editing, I'm like looking at them side by side. I'm like, these look exactly the same. Like, look at the font in both of them. They both look exactly the same. So I looked it up, and Meg was actually inspired by the blaxploitation film cover, and she used that as inspiration for her cover. So see, I caught that without even looking that up. Like, she was inspired by a blaxploitation film that was based on the Jezebel stereotype for her album cover. Okay, back to the video. Now we're gonna go to the City Girls. So City Girls are known for their basic but catchy lyrics about getting blued out and taking your man. So the first song that we're gonna look at from the lyrics of the City Girls is P Talk. So in the post-chorus, Young Miami says, "Don't do nothing don't nothing but this cash make this P talk. Don't nothing but a bag make this P talk. Don't nothing but this cash make this P talk. Don't nothing but a bag make this P talk." And then JT says in verse 1, "Hey, look, this P extort these. P be like, can you afford me?" So this is an example of like someone who uses sex to manipulate men, which is another definition of the Jezebel stereotype. And City Girls always talk about this. I think Meg also has lyrics about this that shows how someone is using sex to manipulate men. And City Girls is like, if you ain't got no cash, I'm only having sex with you if you're gonna give me some cash. JT talking about extorting. Like, you can see in the lyrics how it resembles the Jezebel stereotype. So now we're going to go to the next song, and it is Act Up, verse 3. So JT says in this verse, "JT on the track, and you know I'm about my paper P sweet, P tight." So he call it lifesaver. If you it's so hard for me. It's so hard for me to block out these words because there's so many explicit words. So let me start over. JT on the track, and you know I'm about my paper P sweet, P tight. So he called it lifesaver. If you a broke, dang, it's so many cuss words. But y'all see the lyrics. She said, "If you a rich end, I'ma F you till you ain't one." So basically she's saying that like she gonna manipulate you for sex. If you rich, then I'm gonna get all your money. I'ma F you and get all your money. And that's basically what JT is saying in this song. And in other songs, they also talk about taking people men and all the other stuff you already know. So we see from the City Girls, they also perpetuate the Jezebel stereotype. And now we're going to go to our last example, which is from Miss Chloe Bailey, also known as just Chloe. And she is known for her beautiful vocals, beautiful locks, her ability to put on a good performance, and lately for her cringy tactics. Now, there aren't any lyrics that I found that point to Chloe Bailey's perpetuation of the Jezebel stereotype. What I'm more so pointing to here is her music video, Have Mercy. So if you watch the video, you will notice that the music video portrays Chloe as a modern day Medusa. And Medusa is a Greek mythology figure. She was known for her snake hair, head of hair, and if you looked into her eyes, you turned into stone. So there are like men who are missing and nobody knows what happened to them in the music video, and we see Chloe seduce another man and he gets turned into stone. I feel like, to me, this shows like the insatiable appetite for men, because Chloe turned all those men into stone and manipulated them into falling for her so that she can turn them into stone. Even though we don't explicitly see how she is using sex to seduce these men, I feel like we can infer by the way she's laying in bed with them and she's bringing them to her bedroom. She's not simply looking into their eyes and turning them into stone. She's seducing them and bringing them to her bedroom. She's laying down with them and now they're turned into stone. So I feel like, this might be a stretch, but I feel like this also perpetuates the Jezebel stereotype in a way, how you are showing how you manipulate men and your insatiable appetite for sex. So those were my 3 examples that I wanted to use of like what we see modern day. There are a lot of other examples from a lot of other different artists, but I just want to give a few, because if we gave all the examples of all the different Black female artists, rappers who perpetuate the Jezebel stereotype in their music, then we would be here all day. So now we're going to move on to the last part of this video and talk about my thoughts on the Jezebel stereotype in the music industry. So as I stated earlier, I am not calling these women Jezebels. I'm just pointing out the symbolism of the stereotype in the music. At the end of the day, women can do what they want. I know that male rappers and artists also have similar themes in their music about sex and how they talk about women. So of course, it's only right, I guess, for women to be able to do it too. But women, men, anybody can have multiple sexual partners if they like, and they can have an insatiable appetite for sex. I feel like it's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think anybody should be manipulating men for sex. And it seems like that this is engraved in women's rap and hip-hop culture, like many other things a part of Black culture. I hate how we choose to perpetuate negative stereotypes in the name of reclaiming something negative and making it positive, or in the name of feminism. Some people may call this feminism or hip-hop feminism, whatever it is. I personally think it's over the top and pushed too much, because we don't see any other genres of music or races of people being sexually explicit in their music like Black women are. And I feel like the over-sexualization is just excessive. And I understand that like white people in slavery, they deemed us as like over-sexual, but it's like now we're trying to reclaim that. But like I said, we keep reclaiming stuff, negative stereotypes, and trying to make it positive, and I feel like it's just not working, and it's not doing anything to benefit the image of Black women, in my opinion. Everything a part of Black culture is not beneficial to us. Most things a part of Black culture is not beneficial to us, and I'm just tired of like us embracing these things in Black culture, and they're actually continuing to harm us and oppress us. Like, we are kind of oppressing ourselves in a way with the way we continue to reclaim and do things in the name of Black culture, because that's Black culture. You don't do this, then you're not Black. Like, I don't know. I feel like we need to change the culture. I think Huey on the Boondocks said the culture is destructive, and it really is. Like, we are sometimes our own worst enemy, and we're destructive to each other and destructive to ourselves, destructive to our own communities. So I don't know. I personally think the over-sexualization of Black women in music is excessive. And eventually I want to do a part 2 to this video talking more about hip-hop feminism and the over-sexualization of black women in the music industry and how it affects the image and treatment of black girls and women. I didn't really go too deep into the over-sexualization theme in this video, because if we just take over-sexualization as a theme, then there could have been so much more we could have explored in the lyrics of these women, because like their lyrics are very sexual. You see Meg's lyrics, very sexual. City Girl lyrics, very sexual. And there's a lot of other artists, like I said, who have lyrics like this as well. And one last thing I want to mention as well is that there's nothing wrong with being sexual in your lyrics, but there's a difference between being sexual and over-sexual. For example, like Prince has a song called Insatiable that literally talks about sex. And we talked about how the Jezebel definition talks about insatiable appetite for sex. But if you listen to Prince's song, it's not over the top. Like, the song is very sensual, and even though you know he's talking about sex, it's not overly explicit. It's not excessive. So that's what I mean by over-sexualization in the lyrics. And also other women rap artists like Tink, or she's more of an R&B and rap, and Missy Elliott, like they've had themes of sex in their lyrics as well, but they are not overly explicit. So with these women, I'm specifically talking about like the excessive, explicit nature and how it resembles the Jezebel stereotype. But I feel like just having sex in your lyrics in general does not resemble the Jezebel stereotype. But yeah, eventually I plan to do a part 2 of this video, but I don't know when that'll be. I just know that I've been having this topic on my mind for a while, and I've been wanting to talk about it and get other people's thoughts on it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree there is symbolism of the Jezebel stereotype among black women in music? How do you feel about the push for sex among black women in the music industry? And do you think this impacts the black woman's image, or does it matter? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.